Today we have with us Shounak from Banyan International School, Jammu. Welcome to the summit, sir.
Thank you very much.
So to begin with, again, India has been witnessing a lot of changes in terms of the education sector. A lot of stakeholders are coming in, and it has become a lot more dynamic from what it was earlier. So how do you see this journey from probably late 90s, and how do you see it taking forward now?
I think one of the big transitions that I've seen at least is that change from intelligence quotient to emotional quotient, and how to actually develop a student in more than just the academic front. So the responsibility that's been put onto the school is much greater. We are supposed to actually raise these children in a way that actually prepares them to come into this world and be global, future-ready learners and citizens. And that's the biggest change. I think when you look at the 90s at the beginning, the internet was just coming into play. I remember in 97, 98 when the first website was on a commercial. These children have grown up in this complete exposure. And for us it was always the wonderment of it, but to them it's almost something that was natural in it, just like TV was for us maybe. So the challenge now is looking at where a child is supposed to be 20 years from now. If I have a child entering KG in my school, when they're graduating from college, what kind of world will they be living in, and have I given that child the adequate tools to function there, be successful and contribute and participate? That's, I think, the biggest area that we're going towards.
And in terms of technology, what kind of initiatives have you taken at your school?
We have a lot of the standard ones. I mean, we do have DigiClass. We also have VSAT, which is virtual learning. One of the big places that we're trying to add value is in the diagnostics. I think we are one of the Pearson schools, and one of the systems that Pearson does have is the ability to take a child and break down into gaps, identify gaps where they have learning concerns, so that you can go back and design remedial classes to fill in those, because you want to make children independent. And if you can make a child an independent learner, then they are actually able to function on their own and go into life and go on learning as the world evolves. So the ability to diagnose where those gaps are, and the ability to take that information to create a child who is on par and independent is, I think, something that we need to look at.
And what are the challenges faced at the level of implementation of these new initiatives?
I think, infrastructure is part of it, right? Things are changing so quickly. If you look at what we needed 3 years ago or 5 years ago and what you need now, you have to have networking, you have to have, just in general, the ability to provide these services. Yes, it is true that the world is smaller now, right? You can give the same quality of education to some place that is very remote, but building up that infrastructure is very important. That's one of the challenges, I think. The other one is keeping your teachers on their toes. They have to evolve and they have to adapt much more quickly, because they have to be on the cutting edge to make sure that the students that you have are progressing as they should. I think one of the places that it's not so much a technological challenge, but that readiness of information. What it's done is that it's destroying a child's ability to analyze. It's so easy to access information and then regurgitate information that you stop actually drawing conclusions. Deductive reasoning is a skill that is not actually, I think, stressed enough these days. So it's every day something new comes up, doesn't it?
True. So. And so in the time of implementing in terms of technology, when it's implemented at the grassroots level, do you think somewhere instead of enhancing inclusiveness, it is promoting exclusivity, because it's not cost effective to begin with, and it needs certain infrastructure, it needs internet connectivity, which is not there in every little corner of the country. So somewhere down the line, it is increasing exclusivity rather than promoting inclusiveness?
I think it's a journey. Obviously, at first, it is about affordability. At first, it is about the elite having access where everyone might not. But look at, again, over these past 20 years, you have tablets which are now available for such almost, it's negligible the price. People do have that access, and I think that will change. Everything is always available to a selected few at first. It's how you're able to propagate that to everyone else. That's where the challenge is, but that is something that is happening, and we see that, and I think it's a very encouraging trend.
this summit is all about school leadership, and principal is the premier leader in the school. How do you see his role or his or her role changing over the years with this new initiatives coming in?
One is we believe in always learning, right? You want to create lifelong learners, and I think the principal has to be at the forefront of that. You have to be able to keep up with changes in pedagogy, in technology, in everything, so that you can then become that relay to your teachers, to your faculty, so that the school is progressing at the same rate as everyone else is, if not even, more quickly. The other part is, again, about relatability. We are, in many, many places, replacing, or I'd say not replacing, adding to the concept of raising a child. It takes a village to raise a child. So the parents are there, but they're busy with work. So we have a responsibility there. So to be able to relate with the students in your school, to be able to become that mentor, to be able to facilitation in itself is, I think, something that's very important for us to look at.
And so as a concluding remark, how has been your experience with the School Leadership Summit, a platform which really brings together all these stakeholders for discussion around pertinent issues related to education sector in India today? How important are these platforms, and how has been experience with School Leadership Summit so far?
You can't actually, under stress. You can't, sorry, the other way around, over stress, right, to the importance of things like this. The ability to see people who are of that same genre and to be able to hear their ideas, it makes you think. And these forums, these platforms are wonderful for us because it allows us to, step back again from that daily operation and remember the overall picture, and helps us to set the goals and set the vision for the schools that we're in. So I think the more of these, the better.
All right, so thank you. It was a pleasure having you with us.
You as well. Thank you very much.